Hi, I'm Christopher T-Rex Moore,
I'm Jordan.
I'm Kid.
and we're still playing Kingdom Hearts 1, and maybe this will be the episode where we don't...
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens. Something will come up, and then it'll just trigger a rant.
Yeah. Also, so we were talking about the directs is happening at 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what, like 3:15, 3:30?
Yeah.
I don't want to be like actually talking and doing that long, but I mean, depending on where we get in this world, you could spend like an hour grinding on stream, and we can still make fun of you, Jordan.
That's something we can do, yeah.
Yeah, because you know I love to make fun of people. Also, that shark does not have a lot of HP, but I feel like he's taking more hits than some of the bosses you fought so far.
Well, it also just gets knocked out. He doesn't actually
Yeah, he doesn't
go
die.
away.
Oh, so he respawns if you
Ye-
stay there?
Yeah, he's swimming around again.
Oh, so he did heal him. Donald, you bastard.
It's all Donald's fault.
Donald, why would you do this to us? So, boy, I can't remember this world at all.
I mean, it's just a labyrinth, honestly.
Yeah, and that's a shame, really. I feel like if
Still
you,
better than hallways in Kingdom Hearts 3, but I digress.
Oh, I was gonna say Hollow Bastion, where it's slow hallways because you have to hit an orb, go this way, run to the end. It's like, no, this is a dead end. Hit the orb, slowly go this way, and then just continue.
So, you're lost?
Yeah.
What you looking for?
The grotto, because I have the trident to put in the seal.
What's that way?
Is that not the way you just came?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No, this is this.
All right. Then go up.
There we go.
Hey!
Wait, is it?
What?
And then follow the...
Yeah, there's the rock. I didn't see the rock. I think I was facing... I think at one point I came out and was... Oh, hey, look, it's the shark.
Good old Kingdom Hearts.
He's too busy producing some movie about a pro wrestler.
The shark?
No, The Rock.
Speaking of which, that looks entertaining. I love the Rock. Rock's a good guy.
Donald coming through
He's
with them
entertaining, but
heels.
I don't think he's only in like I want to say he's probably
Donald
only in like
coming
one or
through
two
with them
scenes in the
heels.
movie based on what I've seen.
Will
It
the
wouldn't make
shark
sense
die,
for him to be a
please?
whole. Like I don't know how important he was in Paige's career, but
I have no idea who that is. So.
that's who the movie's about. It's a woman wrestler who kind of like was a big deal in WWE for a few years. Only for a few years.
Also, dude, Flounder's face is still terrifying. So, can you put Ariel in your party in this, or is he just around?
You can put her in your party.
Okay.
I told you not
Also,
to
for an old
be
man, King
proud.
Trent
Bro,
is
this
jacked.
dude has like no emotion on his face.
Well, I mean, I feel like part of that might be like the beard and stuff. Like, it's kind of hard to emote when half your face is gone. Also, everyone looks kind of plastic, so. But, no, dude, King Triton's jacked. Like, look at him, man.
Yeah,
He's got, like, them 8-pack abs, those giant muscles.
You're from another world.
In pretty good shape for an old man.
Huh?
Then you must be the key bearer.
How does he know?
How did you know?
Okay.
You may fool Ariel, but you can't fool
That doesn't
me.
answer
You
the
don't
question.
know
That does
your
not-
dorsal fin from your tail.
that doesn't answer the
As the
question.
key bearer,
How does he know about the
you
key
already
bearer?
know
How does everyone
you
know
must
everything
not
except for
meddle
Sora?
in the affairs of other worlds.
I mean,
Of
as
course I know
the
that.
king, maybe he's just privy to the.
You have
Ongoings of other
violated
worlds.
this principle.
What is
key
up,
bearer
up with these, like,
shatters
camera
peace
angles and these
and
pan-ups?
brings
And
ruin.
just Goofy's derpy face.
Not like that.
I thank you for saving my daughter, but there is no room in my ocean for you or your key.
I feel like, you know...
I think he's telling you to get the fuck on the gummy ship and go.
I'm inclined to agree with him. Listen, he told you he doesn't want you here. I'd hate to impose on him at all.
My, the poor child
So,
suffers such deep sorrow.
I get it that they couldn't keep making things, like, interesting, especially
What
new
a
worlds.
pity.
But I feel like Kingdom Hearts 1, and I feel like I've said this before, but did a really good job of at least making the story unique. And
Yeah.
It's not just replaying through the.
Yeah, it's not just blindly playing the plots of the movies. There's actually like
Who are you talking about?
They took the
changes and, like-
characters, did like something similar to the movie, but they created their own
yeah, that's like
like plot line.
Yeah. Like, especially in this. Like, we're underwater the whole time. Yeah, they do something similar,
Ursula.
but, you know, she's not making a deal to lose her voice so she can go, like, sleep with this sailor dude.
yeah.
Like, it's interesting. And it's a shame that they moved away from that, and I don't know if
They
it
just half-assed all the Disney in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. Well, they definitely, it was a symptom in Kingdom Hearts 2 as well, where, like, New Worlds, they would just play through the movie like they did that the first time you go into Pirates of the Caribbean.
I never liked the Pirates of the Caribbean level.
Uh-oh, somebody else is in chat.
Cheer up, sweetie.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was still amazing. Okay.
You're allowed to be wrong. It's okay. You have that right to be wrong.
I'm not familiar with this dude at all, so let's not lay into him just yet.
Oh
But,
man.
I mean, if like Kingdom Hearts
Sorry,
3.
this is his channel. He
Yeah.
actually wants you here.
Yeah.
I'm a guest. I just tend to be a prick. I apologize for my bitterness at your very incorrect opinion.
But you know, I mean, if you're just tuning in, we've covered our gripes with it extensively.
Oh
this
yeah,
week.
where this is you're definitely catching me on a wind down if you haven't been lurking
Yeah.
for a while. So it was much worse earlier.
Yeah. Like, again, you hate the game. I personally, I still really enjoyed it, and even with its flaws, which I think there are very many, and like off the top of my head, I can't think of like a ton of strong things. There are things I feel like it did well. Like we were talking about the transformations and how they were cool.
No, you're not wrong for having an opinion. That's fine.
He just says your opinion.
I said your
is-
opinion's wrong, and you're allowed to have a wrong opinion.
But again,
It's
don't-
just something I say with people I disagree with. It's a joke. I don't actually hate you for having
Yeah.
that opinion. That's fine.
pay him no mind.
Yeah.
I'm the one you're here for.
I'm just cynical
not
like
him.
that. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But, I mean, again, I enjoyed the game. I really did. Like, I've beaten it, and I'm still playing it. Maybe not as often as, you know, I could be. Because, you know, I have
I mean,
other
that's
things
normal, though. You typically slow down on a game after you've beaten it.
Because, you know, I'm not going to go for the 100% run, but, you know, I'm still going to go back and get all the lucky emblems. Because while it is just another form of a collectathon, but, you know, we have Trinities in this game. And it's a very similar thing, except the nice thing for that, Trinities are a little bit less hidden. But, you know, and then there have always been mini games like the entirety of the Winnie the Pooh world in this and every game.
Challenge.
Yeah, man. You know how Nightbot does. Always,
Yeah, you should
always
probably-
hooking people.
You should probably turn off Nightbot for Let's Play streams.
I don't know how to do that.
You don't know how to manage your own bot?
No.
Jesus, you're so bad at this. Let me
Listen,
guess, you got someone to set that up for
Yeah,
you.
I-
You're
I know how to be like, all right, this is what I want you to say, and that's about it. Can I just hit edit comm sleep?
I don't know. I don't use a Nightbot. I use Botissimo.
I
I just manage it with checkboxes and shit. What kind of commands I want.
see. I don't know if I have that. So you know how I was saying I just bought a new computer and a new capture card. I'm gonna have a great time setting up my scoreboard and my uploads and stuff.
Ooh,
for
yeah.
that.
That's going to be fun.
Because I don't know how to do any of that. Because you did it on the old computer we used to do it with, and then
And then TJ set
did
up
it on this
a
one.
lot of automation on that one, yeah.
Well, a lot of the automation broke a little while ago, so I haven't really been doing it anyway. Like my my thumbnailer and the thing that does the auto uploads. I've been having to upload things manually and like put the description and the tags in each one, which isn't that bad, but.
No.
So
No.
I'm not going to disagree with you because we were talking about like
Yeah,
when
give
we
me the opinion. I can't see it from here.
Okay,
Plus-
he says, I think Final Mix will have people appreciate it more. I'm assuming he's talking about Kingdom Hearts 3.
yeah.
Because people didn't really appreciate Kingdom Hearts 2 until the Final Mix versions.
I disagree with that particular point, but continue.
Well, that's basically what he's saying. Is just like the Final Mix version.
No,
is
I
gonna
feel
make
like
it-
Kingdom Hearts 2 was a massive hit.
Yes.
across the board when it first came out,
I agree.
because the United States didn't even get Final Mix unless you imported and such from
Yeah.
Japan until the PS3. And Kingdom Hearts 2 was a widely loved game before Final
Yeah.
Mix. It
Well,
was. There's a very big difference in the quality of Kingdom Hearts 2 Basic and Kingdom Hearts 3 Basic, in my humble
Because
opinion.
Kingdom Hearts 2 took everything that, you know, Kingdom Hearts 1 did and built on it and did it very well. And we were talking about like the drive forms earlier, and like how there was a reward and a risk for using these different forms that you don't really have in Kingdom Hearts 3.
I mean, to be fair, Final Form takes away the risk portion, but
yeah, but I mean, normally you don't get that until like end
yeah,
or
that's
post
the
game.
end game.
Yeah. But I definitely feel like, you know, if and when, because let's be honest, they're probably going to give us a Final Mix. It might be a couple years down the line, but I feel like we're going to get it. And then it'll fix some of the issues that people had. Because even this one added in a couple of new cutscenes and stuff. And not a lot, a couple. And then a couple more. I don't know if it added boss battles in this one. I know it did for Kingdom Hearts 2.
I'll say the way I feel about the Final Mixes of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I feel like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were complete games that Final Mixes made them like 110%.
Yeah.
Whereas Kingdom Hearts 3 I feel like is an 80% game, and Final Mix may bring it to 100%.
I feel like even saying 80% might be, you know,
Yeah,
a little
I
bit
feel like
generous.
that's generous too, yeah.
Now, the unfortunate thing is, I feel like that's just a symptom of making games in 2019. Like, how many games have we seen be released that are just not good or finished upon release? Like No Man's Sky.
Okay, No Man's Sky, the problem with No Man's Sky wasn't that it was released unfinished, was the fact that it was advertised for way more than it was actually built for,
Oh,
and that they retroactively had to add in all the crap that they promised but didn't deliver.
Also, like, something on like along the lines of Destiny as well, because, you know, launch Destiny and current Destiny or Destiny 2 are completely different games, just with all the DLC and stuff like that. And I don't know how much of it was like paid DLC or free DLC, but I feel like, you know, if we get like DLC worlds that come out for Kingdom Hearts 3 and we get more story, that'd be cool. The unfortunate thing is just, you know, they released it and it's just got this whole like lackluster end to it that, you know, if they hadn't already like rushed into it, DLC could have potentially helped. Alright, so what he was saying is Final Mix just added in a lot of like end game content that people really enjoyed. But I mean that's fine. Like end game is great, but at least there was game in the first place.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 had game through most of it, and even if it didn't have all of the same, like it didn't have the pure like density of in-game content that Final Mix Kingdom Hearts 2 had, it had content throughout the game, and it even had its own share of in-game content. Granted, it was basically just the Sephiroth fight,
Yeah.
but like,
Also, where's my Sephiroth fight in Kingdom Hearts 3?
yeah, we already talked Final Fantasy characters.
Yeah.
But I feel like the problem, like just another thing that this kind of just showcases as an issue of Kingdom Hearts 3 is all of the content is the end game, and even then it's just a long series of cutscenes and hallways and boss fights.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say, all it is boss fights. And, I mean...
And that's not to say that I inherently hate the idea of cutscene boss fight setups, as long as they're interesting. I just didn't feel interested or invested in the boss fights.
I can see not being invested in them, but, you know, one or two of the boss fights were, you know, actually pretty interesting. Like,
yeah, not the endgame ones.
like, I like the Zigbar boss fight, because, like, where he does a little card thing and you have to run around. It was interesting. It wasn't hard, but it was different, and I appreciated that. And then, like...
Oh, wait, we're talking 2?
No, in literally Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, like, the battle with Saïx was another one where, you know, there was a mechanic, maybe not a great mechanic.
Well, yeah, the card thing was actually really dope.
Yeah, but like Saïx, he does like that berserker thing, and like it's a little bit of padding, but you know, there's actually a little bit of fear of you because he's like in this berserker mode and he hits you twice and you're dead. And that was cool. It's just a shame that, you know, what had to happen before that battle for that battle to happen. And then I feel like a lot of the stuff is, again, people just kind of like popping up and like not earning the payoff. Like Xion coming back. Like, I remember her being there and like I was like, I know this isn't gonna be like this big interesting reveal. It's just gonna kind of happen. They're not gonna explain it. Can I hear what you guys didn't like about Kingdom Hearts 3? Because I wouldn't mind people saying things like Kingdom Hearts 3 was okay, but I'm tired of seeing this game is trash when it wasn't trash. That's in the stream.
Okay, so I'll chime in on this. I want to be very brief about it. The main reason I want to be very brief
Because
about
we've
it
been
is
going on about it for like
we've
an hour
been
and a half.
going about it like for a long time. We went into very excruciating detail. It's just unfortunate timing that you showed up at this point when we're kind of just winding down and we're just kind of just one-lining it off. But a lot of our gripes were with the general story progression throughout the bulk of the game just was non-existent. It was usually just insert black-coated bad guy shows up, picks fun at Sora, leaves, doesn't do anything of significance. A lot of the worlds that Sora visited, he had no motivations to visit them at all.
Doesn't fix any of the problems.
He doesn't fix a lot of the problems. A lot of the problems, like in Toy Stories in particular, he fixes none of the problems, and the only problem that he does fix was one that he actually created, which was kind of like getting them out of the room and basically just pushing Buzz over. The bulk of the story happens at the very end of the game, whereas comparatively, the stories were told more gradually throughout in First Kingdom Hearts, and then I'll go ahead and say Kingdom Hearts 2 had the problem of where most of the story didn't take place until about the halfway point and beyond.
Yeah.
In this game, it all takes place at the very end.
But if you compare Kingdom Hearts 3 to like Kingdom Hearts 1, like when you get to Hollow Bastion and like that Riku reveal, that's the halfway point. That feels like where the story starts to ramp up, and you compare that to Kingdom Hearts 3, where it feels like, oh, this would be a solid halfway point. This is where the story's ramping up. It's the end of the game.
Yeah, and then see again, I'm trying to just railroad through it so we don't like dwell on it for too long. I also don't know what our timer is because we're also recording episodes on
That's
YouTube.
fine. We just keep going until you're
But
done.
they also kind of cop out with progressing the story when they very well could have. For example, Sora could have saved Aqua from the very beginning, but they keep saying, no, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. And by the time he finds out he's ready, he finds out, oh, I had the power all along, and it would have manifested if I had just come here sooner. Like, it literally, the power would have manifested when he needed it to. So had he been there like he wanted to in the beginning of the game, then the story could have progressed at a much more reasonable pace. Aqua could have been saved early on, then they could have spent more time working on, Ventus, for example, instead of saving all three characters just back to back to back to back. And, I could just go on and on.
I mean, we could.
I'm trying to keep myself at a more reasonable volume since we were kind of just ranting and angrily
Also,
about it already.
like, I feel like just so many of the characters were underutilized. You rarely see any of them do anything. You get to fight with Riku for one battle. You get to fight with Aqua for one battle. But, other than that, you don't see them at all. You go into like the final battle area and just everyone just walks off.
I feel like Sora wasn't at all important for the bulk of the game to the story, and then he had more importance than he should have had in the end game. Because I don't feel like he should have, like, I personally, as much as I understand why he is the main character, he's the main character in the Kingdom Hearts 3 because he was the main character in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and Chain of Memories and whatever. But, like, the story really didn't need to involve him as much because the story was definitely much more about Riku, more about Mickey, more about the Birth by Sleep trio. And I felt like they didn't get nearly enough prominence in the story itself, especially the Birth by Sleep trio. They just kind of get slapped on at the end. It's like, oh, here's a little bit of fan service with these three.
Well, I mean,
but that's it.
You get their happy ending, and that's
it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just, I don't feel like they really did enough with those characters. Obviously, there's also the issue of the Final Fantasy characters just not existing. Even though they had no reason to not exist, especially in the end game, they should have been there.
Yeah.
Because this was a catastrophe that would have affected them and their world. And in the first two games, they're bonding with Sora. They're friends with him. They're helping him on the battlefield. And they're actually that's meaningful. And I'm not just saying this because, oh, I'm a Final Fantasy fan, I want to see insert Final Fantasy character. It's just, it didn't make sense to me from a plot-telling perspective that Sora doesn't even seem to remember that these characters existed.
No name drops.
No name drops from him, nothing. He didn't seem to be worried about them. No visits to Radiant Garden, even though Sora was integral, I can't talk. Fair warning, I also just had my wisdom teeth removed like less than a week ago, so I'm kind of weird on the talking. Sora was fairly integral to the fate of Radiant Garden, and yet Radiant Garden is just brushed over in the third game entirely.
What the hell is this?
Not to mention, like, they literally, like, Radiant Garden's there. That's where all the scientists are. They're there.
Yeah, it's just brushed over. Like you don't the only time you spend in it is in a cutscene.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating to me that like nothing comes of it.
And then so many of the motivations are just like hidden. Like, why does Vexen, decide to help and like do that stuff? Or so many characters pop up and then just disappear almost immediately after.
Ursula, no! I didn't want this!
Smooth is saying, I understand why people think Cage 3 was not a great game. But okay, there's a lot I can't.
You can scroll.
Well, it's not that. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to paraphrase.
To the dark world of the
Especially while I'm reading it, you guys should be saying other stuff.
But I want to read it.
Huh? I mean, you can.
You're
read
not
it.
talking, so talk.
But
You don't need the chat. You're playing the game.
Why, we have come.
but I've seen this before.
I'm afraid you're a little late, handsome.
This is quality entertainment.
Yeah. So he's saying he feels like Kingdom Hearts needs an overhaul, which I agree.
Yes.
He likened it to
Absolutely.
Breath of the Wild. He wants to see the world be a little bit more expansive with like less invisible walls, which.
Oh,
I
we didn't even talk
I'm
about the
going with you.
abundance of invisible walls in
My
Cage
father
3
Yeah.
during our
perfect,
ranting.
all my
Yeah.
fault.
That bugged
Like,
me a lot.
so Kingdom Hearts 3, the worlds were a lot bigger, but I feel like a lot of it was just like
Bigger.
yeah, just empty worlds and just like making longer hallways and stuff like that. But dude, I'd love to see an overhaul. Which I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 was supposed to be the end of the trilogy.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a big like climactic finale to like Sora's story, or like that's what we were supposed to believe. I guess there's going to be a new one though.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's a cash cow. They're not
Yeah.
going to just turn away from it. Obviously,
they're not. Especially
mean,
with how many games they've already put into it.
Square Enix wants that Disney tie-in money.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And at this point, I feel like Nomura's invested a lot into these characters that he's made for this series, so I understand the series keep going. Even though
I do think a large part of the problem with Kingdom Hearts 3 was I think Disney was much more involved in this one than they were in some of the past games. Like, why did we have all of Let It Go in and
yeah,
all of Let's Build a Snowman in and less Final Fantasy characters / no Final Fantasy characters?
like that's one of the things that kind of bothered me about the lack of Final Fantasy characters. It's not just that I want Final Fantasy characters. It's also some of the main characters that Square Enix has agency with, that they can do whatever they feel that works for the character, and they don't have to run it through Disney executives, are the Final Fantasy cast, and they don't include them at all. Kind of bugs me because it just means they're playing by more strict guidelines, it feels like.
All right. So with that note, I'm going to cut you off.
Okay.
So I've been Chris Trexmore.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Kid.
And you've been watching Green Team Plays Kingdom Hearts 1. If you're watching on the live stream, don't go anywhere. But if you're catching this on YouTube, you can catch us live Wednesdays at 1 p.m.-ish. But if you've missed anything that we've done today, and you hopped into the chat later on and you said you wanted to hear some more of our gripes, and we're giving you like bullet points and being a little bit less ranty about it. But you can catch anything that you missed on Type House Plays on YouTube. These videos will probably be up more towards next week, but definitely check those out there to catch anything you've missed. But that's it for this episode on YouTube. Again, on Twitch. Don't go anywhere. Bye, everybody.